But do you see it as vitally important that we should tell the stories of military intelligence alongside and within those other narratives?
Of course it is, because the story, I mean, military intelligence, a little bit like other forms of military activity that take place, although military can be absolutely on the battlefield, and there are intelligence officers on battlefields as we speak, but it's perhaps would be seen as a little bit more of an activity that takes place away from where the bullets are flying. But things like that, things like logistics, those are essential to talk about and learn about, because those are how you win wars. You know, anyone can arm a bunch of 18-year-olds and send them charging off towards the sound of the guns. Like I'm reminded in the 18th century that I know a little bit more about. There was this. The Spanish were completely hopeless at sea. The British kept defeating Spanish fleets and ships wherever they came across them. But what's interesting, if you study the British accounts, they had huge admiration for the bravery and the seamanship of these Spanish sailors often. They were brave to a fault. They were hysterically brave. They were like any other 23-year-old, desperate to hurl themselves aboard lay themselves alongside an enemy ship and climb aboard and fight it out for their king. That's not what was lacking. What was lacking was like the fiscal structure to support these ships, to build dockyards, to build dry docks, the intelligence backup they needed. Yeah. They were tasked wrongly. The recruitment was terrible. The stores were rotting. That was the problem with Spanish ships. It wasn't that Spanish were lame. So I think that any military, any serious historian who wants to understand warfare and military history needs to be absolutely looking at that. And we sort of get a little bit, sometimes we can get attracted by the bright, shiny object of battlefield heroism and winning medals on the battlefield, and gallantry medals. And of course those things are fascinating, but actually military intelligence, if you look at the story of D-Day, for example, D-Day is one time when actually most people know more about military intelligence, the logistics, the planning, than they do actually about the sole VC that was won on D-Day by a British soldier.